Hey guys, Ave here. Welcome to the Taric guide. We're going to go through the item builds, the masteries and the runes, but make sure you check out the other guides there for more depth and specification on them. And I will talk you through the item builds, some of the skills and leveling orders in lane, the runes and stuff. Make sure you check out the guides, as I said, general tips throughout, and the gameplay as well. Hope you learn something, and if you do, keep giving me ideas and what you want on the future guides, okay? It really is helpful. Thanks for you watching, and I hope this is really something that people can learn off, okay? So, Taric's passive is Gemcraft. Now, his auto attacks do a little bit of things back. It's not the best for bot lane, but you get a bit of mana if you've got to push or you've got to help your AD last hit under the tower. That is it. His Q is a heal. Now, it does 40% extra when it's cast on himself, and an equal amount when cast on an ally. It's a very strong passive. On hit on an enemy champion, it's 3 seconds cooldown reduced, and on a minion, 1 second cooldown reduced. Keep hitting things, okay? Shatter. Now, this is armor passively. It's an aura. If you activate it when you're in range of enemies, you'll decrease their armor for 4 seconds, but you'll lose the bonus armor. You need to use this in lane. Dazzle is a stun. Stuns for 1.5 seconds. It's a missile. It travels quite fast, and it's been buffed recently. And I maxed this last. I max W first, and I max Q second, and I take a point in R whenever I can. Now the ultimate, Radiance, is when Taric slams to the ground, then it gives half and the amount of ability and attack damage it gives Taric. So it's basically a damage thing. If you use it in range of an enemy, it does damage to him as well. So you use it to burst. The runes, make sure you check out the guide for other runes and explanations. Otherwise, I'll go through quickly. You've got some armor, marks and seals, magic resists base and scaling into late game, and health regen. I take this when I'm against poke lanes and I need to be able to stay in lane. And the next page is the movement speed quints, which are useful for engaging, but very similar pages, okay? Next up, the masteries. Again, check out the masteries guide for more in-depth alternatives and explanations, but otherwise 0921 is for when you want to engage and you want to do a lot of burst and then back off. That's very useful. And the other page is the melee support page that I run, which is basically to stay in lane for longer, take a bit more damage, and generally be more tanky. Both great pages. Check out the guides for more explanations. Summoner spells, I usually take Flash and Exhaust. You can also take Heal, it is viable, but I choose not to. Now in lane, you want to be thinking about these items. 2 health pots, 2 greens, 1 pink. Fairy Charm if you're in sustain, or Rejuvenation Beads if you're against a lane with a lot of poke. Build into Boots, Sightstone, Fieldstone, and Chalice of Harmony. And towards the end of your game, your build should look something like this. The Boots, Mercury Treads, or Cooldown, depending. If they have lots of CC, make sure you take Merc Treads. If not, the cooldown reduction. And your endgame build should, again, Mickle's Crucible, Locket, Shirelia's, Ruby Sightstone, and your Boots, okay? Now, if you want to fill your last item and not get Boots, because you need oracles and wards, if you want to put them in the last slots, Bulwark, Frozen Heart, Aegis, Boots, Ranuins, or Abyssal are not bad choices, but your team should have them already. If they haven't, consider getting them. Look at the item guide, which is coming soon for more tips. Now in the laning phase, you have a stun, and you don't always have to use it, and when it's not on cooldown, your enemy's scared that you're going to stun them. So a great thing to do is run at your enemy AD carry, and they'll miss CS, and it's a very useful to get a lead. Otherwise, early game Taric, try to scare them, make them miss CS. If you can stun when it's safe, do so. I'll explain that in a minute. Generally though, you want to be playing around with the lane bushes, getting in them, getting out of them, and if you can get a pink down in the far bush, when you're in the aggressive brush, you can do that, and it helps you keep vision in there, stops them from coming in, and it gives you the element of surprise if you want to stun. Now, a great tip is to run out of the lane and pretend that you're going to ward when your jungler comes to gank. Now, if you watch this play very carefully, you'll see that I'm now going to go pretend to ward. And Amumu's sitting in there. I've healed him in the bush so they don't know he's there, and I go to pretend. Tell my team, I go ward. Now you see that a good support will now engage on your AD carry, allowing the jungler, who they don't know who's there, to engage on them. Mumu hits a great bandage toss, we follow up, we get a good kill. That is very good baiting and ward coverage, which is all about just getting the aggression and running at them, scaring them with your stun, getting them out of that bush, putting the ward there, and then their jungler can come in, our jungler, and you can run ward, and they'll engage. Okay, it's really good. Generally, early game, it's all about engaging when it's safe. When their jungler is in another lane, or you know where he is, it's safe to engage, as long as their mid isn't missing as well. Just try and stun, do some damage, and back off, okay? It's generally early game Taric in a nutshell. Now, here in this clip, excuse me, everyone's got a drink, Coca-Cola. Xin comes to gank. Now, I stun MF, because she's the highest damage at this moment, closest to Draven. That allows Draven to back out. Luckily, Amumu's here to counter gank, which is awesome. And that allows us to basically blow a couple of flashes and generally destroy Xin's play, which is pretty cool. After a gank, you tend to be quite low HP. You should back to base, but in this occasion, it looks like they're going to go back. So I stay for XP and creeps, which is absolutely fine, but they decide to stay. Now at this point, I should probably think, okay, Leona's got E, let's go back. But I get a little bit sort of, I'll be okay. Go out into lane, and okay, I put a ward in the bush, but Leona engages, and this isn't a good example of what to do. Generally, if a jungler comes to gank and you're low, go back. It doesn't work out for us, because Ryze teleports down, our low Lux follows, it's not great. Apologise to your team. That's an example of just overextending, and you know, it's good to have good and bad things in a game so you guys can learn off them. Last hitting under a tower, this is another great tip, is when you're at a tower, melee minions take 2 hits and 1 auto attack, so your AD carry can last hit them by himself. Ranged minions actually take 1 auto attack, 1 tower hit, 1 auto attack. So generally, if your AD doesn't have enough damage to last hit them, you should do an auto attack, let the tower hit them, and then your AD can get the last hit. It's just a great tip that I don't know how many support players do. So, the next thing I'm going to mention is quite important, map awareness. Check the minimap every couple of seconds. Here we see Xin's invading. Mumu and Lux are pinging, which is great, and he flashes over. Now, for us, this is pretty good, because we've got their jungler down, so we possibly could do Dragon if Mumu survives. I stun MF, because I know that she's their most damaged, she's trying to kill a Mumu, and I want to secure Drake. She then ults. Thankfully, Draven disrupts the ult, and we grab a double kill and sacrifice her 1. But that, again, the fast reactions help secure those kills, so the map awareness is really good. Let me see, melee support. You're basically more effective when you're not sitting back. So, even though Amumu died and I'm low, I still go back to lane to pick up the XP, because I need to be high enough level on par with their carries, especially their bruiser, to be near him to be very effective. You're not useless if you're sat back, but otherwise. Here we are engaging on Leona. I have Tara aggro, which is okay, but sit max range with it so you can back out, and it lets your AD do damage without generally sort of getting any tower damage, and he probably might get minions. As a general great tip, I always tell you guys, grab golems, so good, especially when you're on that bot side. Disrupt it at the start if you're on the other side, it can really turn the lane. Now you can see in this clip, I'm getting the wards down, and then I think, we have a lot of minions to take here, what should I do? Let's zone MF so Draven can do it without any problems. Then I decide, I'm a little bit fed, let's go ward. This is not good, because Leona then gets a full combo passive off, and I take a bit of damage, which, it's not a problem. I knew I wasn't going to die, but again, it's just generally not a great thing to do, to go lone warrior like that, because if you checked Xin was missing, I could have died, okay? So yeah, we're stunning, because Draven has tons of damage, but I engage because he pings, and when you look, Xin was missing, Ryze was missing, and earlier I said you want to engage when it's safe. That was an example of when it wasn't safe. As a support player, you are the guy who engages. Just because the AD pings to engage doesn't mean you should. So I want to just reiterate how important it is that you engage when you want to. Now, I engaged because I thought, yeah, he's pinging, yeah, let's get a kill. But if I'd have not had that ping, I wouldn't have engaged, because I would have thought about engaging and then went through my thought process of, okay, I'll look mid, where's their jungler? So back into the team fights. You generally want to be sort of doing what you can in lane to get into those. Now here we're stunning MF, fighting again, because I know Draven's got tons of damage and I want to keep getting the lead, flashing out, getting Leona, etc. And it's just a kill and we're very low, and I know Zin's missing, but he's just been bot. Chances are he's not going to be bot again. His red's about to spawn around 15 minutes, that's okay. Now, your W, I'm going to say really quickly, it's very important. In lane and in team fights, you want to save it until their AD have done their damage. Generally because you can stop some of their damage with the added armor, and then use your W, so you make them take more damage. Sometimes in team fights it's best not to use your W at all, okay? Now in team fights, you can see here that Darius really wants to grab Lux. But generally the bruisers are the guys who are going to be going for your carries, so you tend to find that you have to stun those. Now I actually end up stunning him under the tower, which is great, because obviously I don't want to stun him when my people are full life, I want to do it when he's coming in. We grab a kill there, and a general tip that some Taric players like to roam, some don't. I tend to stay with my AD carry all the time, and I think that's a good way to do it. And in the upcoming clip you'll see it's also beneficial to roam, but as a general tip, until around mid game, stay with your AD carry. Now here you can see we're roaming top. It's important to get wards down, but I can't ward where I want to ward there because there's 3 of them and I'll die. Now here I know that their team are not going to get to the bush before me, but just to make sure, I ward. Now MF wants to get in there and hit our carries, but I'm not going to let her by standing there. And now I want to stun her before she ults, but I actually can't because I get knocked out of that. So unfortunately this doesn't work out for us, but it could have probably been a lot worse had MF been able to do damage, but she wouldn't have gone past me in that bush because they had no vision in there. She knew I was in there, she's scared of my stun, and not being able to see what's coming up the river because they have no wards there is great. So generally speaking, with a Taric, it's a very safe pick all round. But otherwise, he's a pretty good pick when you're playing with something that can do something with your stun, Draven, etc. But he's a good pick. Practice him, pick him up, let me know what you thought. Leave a comment on any future guides and content that you guys want. And remember that there's Masteries, Runes and Item Builds, upcoming Item Build guide. Check all of them out. And if you liked it, tell your friends and subscribe. There's not a regular support YouTuber, so here I am. Bye guys.